All right, so that was a very detailed press briefing by the DGMOs of the three services, and a lot of details were, of course, put out, again reiterating that Operation Sindoor was meant for a very specific objective, and that objective has now been reached, and any ceasefire violation from Pakistan, of course, will be dealt with on merit and will be responded to very strongly. This is the sum and substance of what is, of course, been said, that India has hit hard at Pakistan in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack, and Operation Sindoor was meant for a very specific objective, and that, of course, has been achieved. A number of questions were, of course, posed about the operations that were carried out, where the DGMO showed the manner in which the Indian Air Force, through a standoff strike, managed to strike deep inside the Pakistani territory. There were some very specific maps and satellite images and drone footage that was shown of the strikes that were carried out in real time, that were monitored, and also the evidence of what was struck and how the entire planning was carried out. These are some of the details that were, of course, set out. And what has now been done is pretty clear. One, Pakistan has got a message that if an act of terror is perpetrated by the Pakistanis, then there will, of course, be a very strong response. And apart from this, the DGMOs of the three services also pointed out about the role that was played by the Air Force, the Army, and also the Navy there. And there were a number of different issues that were, in fact, touched upon. And this is a clear statement of intent, where we've achieved our objectives of decimating the terror camps. And the answer is, of course, that this has been a resounding success. But at the same time, the three forces continue to remain on guard in case there is any kind of military misadventurism on the part of the Pakistanis, and that of course is what has been said. And apart from this, Air Marshal A.K. Bharti also said something very crucial. He said that all our pilots are back home at this moment, and that's a significant sort of a statement that has been made, that all Indian pilots who were involved in these operations have now made their way back, and that's what's been said. And apart from this, a number of other targets that were chosen, the manner in which those targets were chosen, were all shown in a very detailed manner, because remember, there was a lot of planning that in fact went in putting together Operation Sindoor, and that is what, of course, took time. From the time that there was this Pahalgam terror attack till the time Operation Sindoor was executed, there was a lot of planning, and the execution was carried out in a manner that was almost absolutely perfect. So this is the manner in which the ceasefire, of course, has come into effect, where the Pakistani DGMO at 15:35 hours had called up his counterpart, the Indian DGMO, and then asked for a ceasefire. So this of course, is what has been admitted here as well. And my colleague Siddharth Sibil was, of course, at the press briefing, and he's joining us over the phone line. Siddharth, some very detailed bit of information that's been given out in the manner in which this entire operation was planned and executed. Give us a sense of what you're picking up at your end.
Well, Mohammed, a very extensive press conference by the Indian military. I'm standing in the very briefing room where the press conference took place, and essentially a lot of details being given by the Indian military. Remember, this is the first press conference by the Indian military since the Operation Sindoor started. Standalone press conference of the Indian military. So far, the press conferences involved the military and the MEA, but this one gave the technical details, not only only the Indian military showed the visuals of the damaged terror bases, but also they showed the visuals of the damaged air bases of the Pakistani forces. It was a freewheeling press conference. Unlike, of course, press conference we could see very soon, that is, of course, in Islamabad, but we know that the focus was to detail the precision strikes by the Indian military on the terror camps and also the precision strikes on the air bases of Pakistan. This is unprecedented in every sense possible. First time since 1971 war, strikes taking place in the heartland of Pakistan. In the Noor Khan Air Base, which is one of the key air bases of Pakistan, sending a message that really shocks not only Islamabad but also Rawalpindi. India has been able to show its capacity and its reach in Pakistan, and the Indian Navy clearly saying that they have complete maritime dominance over them. They refer to the fact that they had the capacity to strike Karachi as well. That was the message. And in terms of the ceasefire violation, number of questions were asked, and the Indian side clearly saying that if there is a ceasefire violation tonight, there will be a strong response, strong and punitive response. And one big story that came is that the Indian side confirmed that it was able to down Pakistani fighter jets. They did not reveal much of the details, but largely they mentioned that they were able to do so. This is a significant loss for the Pakistani side. They confirmed that all Indian pilots are back home. There have been speculation and propaganda from the Pakistani side. The so-called security sources briefing the international media, and the international media also going wrong on that. We have seen earlier today a major international outlet based in West Asia, which is a controversial outlet, has been saying that how an Indian pilot is in Pakistani custody. The Indian Air Force was quick to dismiss that, but all in all, this press conference was significant in giving a broader picture of India's objectives, that India was able to achieve, and something that India wanted to talk about as well. But all in all, we have seen all throughout the day today, there have been messages being sent from Delhi in terms of what is the larger picture from India. I could say that one of the sources here in Delhi told us that when it comes to Pakistani trying to attack India, if they try to attack India, the response will be very strong and very, very strong. That was the clear message from New Delhi. But all in all, the focus now remains as to whether the understanding achieved by the both sides will be able to hold or not, because we have seen hours after the understanding was achieved yesterday, there was an outbreak of the situation, the ceasefire being violated by the Pakistani side. Drones were seen in Srinagar, blackout was seen in Amritsar, Haryana, Rajasthan and other places.
You know, Siddhant, the ceasefire, when it came yesterday, when Donald Trump put out that tweet, it came as a surprise to everyone. So a lot of questions were, of course, asked as to what had in fact gone on behind the scenes, that there was a ceasefire, and that too in the manner in which it came. And when we heard from the DGMOs there, tell us a bit more about the fact that the ceasefire came about in such a sudden manner, and also just a few hours after that, the fact that there were drones that were spotted over the Indian skies, the fact that there was a ceasefire violation, effectively a violation of that agreement. What would India's response be in case there is yet another violation of the agreement that was initiated by the Pakistanis?
Well, clearly when it comes to India's response, the message is clear in terms of how situation is developing. The clear message from the podium behind me was that if Pakistan violates the ceasefire tonight, then India will be giving a strong response, a strong punitive response. That was the clear message from the Indian side. The DGMO of Pakistan, let me just give you a broader picture. On 7th, when India had made strikes on terror camps, was reached out by the Indian side. The Indian side tried to reach out and tell that this is a strike against the terror targets and not the military. But they were not willing to talk to India. And we saw a reversal of sorts, because on a Saturday, the Pakistani DGMO reached out to India saying that we are willing to talk, and at 3:30 the meeting happened. The request came at 1 o'clock, but that shows that how Pakistani side initially was dithering and not keen to talk to India, but in 4 days were able to understand the might of India when the Indian side made strikes in Noor Khan Air Base, Sargodha, and other important air bases, including Sarkadu as well, which is in Pakistan occupied Kashmir.
Right.
And ultimately, there is an understanding that Pakistan is suffering major losses due to Indian strikes.
Absolutely, indeed. That, of course, is the crux of what, of course, has transpired. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Civil, for joining us and getting us all those details there. The sum and substance of what, of course, is being said in the press conference is effectively this. Operation Sindoor was a very specific operation that was meant to carry out certain objectives, and that was to hit hard at the terror camps that operate out of Pakistan, and that objective has been achieved, which is why there is now effectively a ceasefire once the Pakistani side reached out. But in case there is any violation of the agreement, then the Indian side, of course, hit back hard.